Chapter 3, Part 1, You Can't Not Act, The Myth of Escape. Scenes 3.1.3.10. Introduction, The Battlefield of Action. Scene. The dust of Kurukshetra has not yet settled, and neither has Arjuna's heart. The conches have been blown, the armies stand face to face, and the air is thick with destiny. Yet in the stillness before the arrows fly, another storm brews. Inside the mind of Arjuna. Chapter 2 closed with Krishna describing the Sthitaprajna, the steady sage who is unmoved like the ocean, who lives above craving and anger, anchored in wisdom. Arjuna listened intently, but instead of finding peace, a new paradox arose in his sharp mind. If wisdom means renunciation, if the enlightened one abandons all desires, then why act at all? Why not step away from the noise, drop the bow, and walk into the life of a monk in serene forests? The question weighs heavy. Turning to Krishna, Arjuna asks, If knowledge is higher than action, O Janardana, then why do you urge me to engage in this dreadful battle? This burning doubt is not weakness, but sincerity. It is the spark that ignites Chapter 3, a dialogue not only about war and duty, but about life itself. Then, in the ancient world, this question was alive in many hearts. The Vedic tradition held two ideals in balance. One path was renunciation, sages who lived in forests, ascetics who turned away from society, yogis who sought liberation in silence. The other path was action, kings who ruled wisely, warriors who protected, householders who nurtured families and communities. Both paths were revered, but which was higher? Which brought true freedom? Arjuna feels trapped between these two worlds. If stillness is praised, why should he plunge into the chaos of battle? If the sage in solitude is honored, why should he lift a weapon drenched in blood? To act or not to act? This is his crossroads. Krishna does not dismiss the question. Instead, he honors it and responds with a revelation that will shape the heart of the Gita. Now, isn't this the same tension we feel today? On one side, we hear the voice of retreat. Slow down, meditate, detach, unplug, walk away from the noise. On the other side, we hear the voice of hustle. Work harder, achieve more, compete, conquer, keep moving, or you will fall behind. Between these two extremes, we often fantasize about escape. If I could just quit my job, leave my responsibilities, travel far away, I would finally be at peace. We picture peace as absence of action. We imagine wisdom as sitting still while the world moves on. But Krishna dismantles this myth completely. He reminds us, even in stillness, you act. The body breathes, the mind thinks, your very presence influences the world around you. Retreat into a cave, and others still learn from your example. Renounce society, and your withdrawal still sends ripples through it. You cannot escape action, because life itself is action. The choice is not whether you act, but how you act. Do you act unconsciously, bound by desire, tossed by fear? Or do you act consciously, as offering, with detachment, with clarity? This truth is unsettling because it removes our favorite excuse. We cannot say, I will simply stop and escape responsibility. Even withdrawal is an action with consequences. The Gita is not teaching us how to flee life, but how to live it with wisdom. Focus. The heart of Chapter 3 is revealed in Krishna's answer. You cannot not act. Action is inevitable. The question is not whether you will act, but whether your action will bind or liberate. Will you act selfishly, chasing outcomes, or selflessly, as an offering? Will you act unconsciously, repeating patterns of habit, or consciously, aligning with Dharma? The Gita now shifts from the portrait of wisdom to the path of living wisdom. This path is karma yoga, the yoga of action, to live, serve, work, fight, love, and lead, all without bondage to results. Arjuna's doubt becomes our mirror. His question is our question. Krishna's answer is timeless. Stop dreaming of escape. Learn to act in freedom. Learn to transform duty into worship. Learn to live so that every breath, every choice, every effort becomes yoga. This is the battlefield of action, and it belongs to all of us. Point 1. The doubt of Arjuna, action or renunciation. Scene. Arjuna looks at Krishna with searching eyes. If knowledge is greater than action, then why do you ask me to fight? Tell me clearly, what path is best for me? His voice trembles not from cowardice, but from the genuine thirst for clarity. Then, this is the timeless seeker's doubt. In the ashrams and courts of old India, two ideals coexisted: renunciation, sannyasa, and action, karma. Which was higher? Arjuna leans toward escape. To him, renunciation looks noble and action looks messy. Why risk sin by killing kin when one can seek liberation in solitude? Arjuna's question is not laziness, it is confusion born of sincerity. Now, we too ask this question. Is it better to retreat into meditation, to avoid the mess of politics, family drama, career battles, or to stay fully engaged, risking burnout, mistakes, conflict? Spirituality today often sells us extremes: retreat completely or hustle endlessly. Krishna's answer will bridge the two. Focus. The lesson of this verse is clear. The seeker's first step is to admit confusion honestly. Arjuna models humility. Tell me clearly, for I am lost. Modern life too requires this honesty. Instead of pretending we know, dare to ask. Ask yourself, are you escaping responsibility in the name of peace? Or hiding from stillness in the name of productivity? 3.2 to Krishna's response, two paths, one goal. Scene. Krishna answers calmly, O sinless one, two paths were taught by me in the beginning. The path of knowledge for the contemplative, and the path of action for the active. Then, in the ancient Vedic system, humanity was seen as diverse. Some were drawn to renunciation, philosophers, sages, ascetics. Others were drawn to duty, warriors, kings, workers, farmers. Krishna honors both, but he also clarifies, both lead to the same truth if practiced rightly. There is no contradiction, only suitability. For Arjuna, a warrior in mid-battle, the path of action is not optional. It is his dharma. Renunciation here would not be wisdom, but escapism. Now, today we also need this wisdom. Some people thrive in solitude, others in engagement. Some awaken through meditation, others through selfless service. But the problem arises when we choose the wrong path for our nature. Forcing action when you are contemplative breeds frustration. Forcing renunciation when you are meant to serve breeds hypocrisy. The secret is alignment. Choose the path that resonates with your dharma. Focus. The focus here is balance. Spirituality is not one size fits all. Respect your nature. Don't glorify what isn't yours. And never mistake running away for wisdom. As Krishna shows Arjuna, your path is not about comfort, it is about truth. 3.3. Renunciation without action is futile. Scene. Krishna presses further. Not by renunciation alone does one attain freedom, nor by mere inaction does one reach perfection. Then, this statement is thunderous. In Arjuna's time, many believed that dropping all duties led to liberation, but Krishna shatters this illusion. Renunciation of outer work without inner detachment is empty. A man may abandon his throne, but if he still clings to power in his heart, he is no yogi. A sage may live in a forest, but if he craves recognition, he is still bound. Inaction does not erase desire, it often magnifies it. Now, look at our age. Some quit their jobs, run away from relationships, or abandon projects, thinking they will find peace. But if the inner attachments remain, peace never comes. True renunciation is not escape, it is transformation. A mother caring for her child with no attachment to reward is freer than a monk who meditates but still craves praise. Krishna declares, perfection is not outer withdrawal, but inner freedom. Focus. Don't confuse stillness with stagnation. Real renunciation is not about doing less, but about clinging less. The path to freedom is not inaction, but right action done without bondage. 3.4. Inaction is not freedom. Scene. Krishna looks at Arjuna, his tone firm yet compassionate. Not by avoiding action does a man attain freedom from karma, nor by renunciation alone does he reach perfection. The battlefield trembles with the weight of this paradox. Then, in Arjuna's world, many thought leaving duties and retreating to forests was the highest ideal. But Krishna reveals the flaw. Escape is not liberation. Even ascetics who run away may still be bound by desire, longing for recognition, craving for food, or yearning for respect. Inaction is not the same as freedom. The heart remains restless if desires remain unmastered. Now, this lesson pierces modern life. How many of us dream of quitting everything, resigning from work, running from relationships, retreating into silence, thinking that will bring peace? But how often do we discover that inner agitation follows us wherever we go? Changing location doesn't erase restlessness. Escaping duty is not liberation, it is avoidance. Krishna reminds us, real freedom is not where you are, but how you are. Focus. The focus here is sharp. Inaction is not escape from karma. It is another form of bondage. You cannot stop acting. Even sitting still, your body breathes, your mind thinks, your influence radiates. Freedom comes not from avoiding action, but from transforming your relationship to action. 3.5. Action is inevitable. Scene. Krishna presses the point further. Indeed, no one can remain actionless even for a moment. Everyone is compelled to act helplessly, driven by the qualities born of nature. Then, for Arjuna, this is revolutionary. Even the ascetic who sits still acts. His body consumes food, his lungs breathe, his thoughts ripple across his mind. Every being, from insect to emperor, acts as per nature. The three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, compel all life to movement. Arjuna cannot pretend escape. His very existence as a warrior demands action. Now, how relevant this is to us. We often say, "I'll do nothing today." Yet even in our so-called idleness, we act, scrolling screens, daydreaming, eating, breathing. Our very existence is dynamic. Science affirms this. Our cells regenerate, our hearts beat, our brains fire signals. Inaction is impossible. The question is not whether to act, but how to align action with wisdom. Focus. Scene 3.5 tells us, you cannot not act. The choice is not between action and inaction, but between unconscious action and conscious action. Will you drift in nature's currents or steer them with awareness? That decision shapes your destiny. Sixthly, the hypocrisy of false renunciation. Scene. Krishna now exposes hypocrisy. He who outwardly restrains the organs of action but dwells on sense objects in the mind is deluded and is called a hypocrite. Then, in Arjuna's time, many ascetics outwardly abandoned duties but inwardly remained bound. They lived in forests, but their minds wandered back to palaces. They denied the world in body, but indulged it in thought. Krishna unmasks this falseness. Real renunciation is not posture, it is purity of mind. A warrior on the battlefield with inner freedom is greater than a monk who craves in silence. Now, how piercing this feels today. We often claim to simplify life, yet our minds remain restless. Someone deletes social media but obsesses about it mentally. Someone resigns from a job but still craves status. Someone fasts but dreams of food all day. Krishna's words sting. Outer renunciation without inner detachment is hypocrisy. Focus. The message is clear. Don't fake renunciation. Better to live honestly in the world and work with clarity than to pretend purity while clinging inside. Wisdom is not in how it looks, but in how it liberates the heart. 3.7. True yogi, acting without attachment. Scene. Krishna contrasts the hypocrite with the true yogi, but he who controls the senses with the mind engages in action with organs of action, without attachment. He excels. Then, this is the essence of karma yoga. The yogi does not flee work, nor indulge in attachment. He acts, but with mastery. The senses are guided, the mind steady, the actions pure. Such a person is not enslaved by outcomes. For Arjuna, this is crucial. Fighting the war without hatred, without craving, purely as duty, that is yoga in action. Now, this is our challenge too. Most of us live either in indulgence or suppression. But Krishna offers a third path: disciplined engagement. The yogi does not avoid family, career, or society, nor does he drown in them. He acts with full dedication, but no clinging. This is the art of balance, action with freedom, effort without bondage. Focus. The focus is luminous. The yogi is not the one who runs, nor the one who indulges, but the one who acts with mastery. Ask yourself, are you running from duties in the name of peace, or clinging to them in the name of success? Krishna offers the middle path. Act fully, release fully. That is excellence. 3.8. Duty is superior to inaction. Scene. Krishna leans forward and commands, perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. Without action, even the maintenance of your body is not possible. Then, for Arjuna, this is crystal clear. He cannot abandon duty, for even basic survival requires action. Food must be grown, water drawn, clothes made. Even the sage who meditates depends on the labor of others. Inaction is not noble, It is impossible. The very body is a reminder that life itself is sustained by ceaseless action. Arjuna is told, fight, not because you crave, but because you must. Now, this strikes at our modern fantasies. Many of us think, if I could quit my job, escape responsibilities, then I'd be happy. But Krishna says, even that life needs action. Someone must cook, someone must provide, someone must build. Escaping duties only shifts the burden to others. True nobility lies not in withdrawal, but in carrying your share of the world's weight with grace. Focus. Scene 3.8 tells us bluntly, you cannot escape responsibility. Even survival requires action. The wise do not flee work, they sanctify it. Do your duty, not grudgingly, but as the path of freedom. 3. No. Action as sacrifice. Scene. Krishna deepens the teaching. Work must be done as sacrifice to the divine. Otherwise it causes bondage. Perform your duties for that sake, O son of Kunti, and you will be free. Then, in Vedic culture, sacrifice, yajna, was central. Offerings were made into the fire not to bribe the gods, but to sanctify life. Krishna extends this symbol. All work is yajna when done as offering. Arjuna's arrows, if fired as sacrifice for dharma, liberate him, but if fired with greed or hatred, they bind him. The same act, different intention, one enslaves, the other frees. Now, this wisdom is timeless. Our modern work, too, can be bondage or liberation. A doctor may heal as offering or for ego. A parent may nurture as sacrifice or for control. A leader may serve as duty or exploit for gain. What defines it is not the act itself, but the spirit behind it. Work becomes worship when offered. Work becomes prison when clung to. Focus. Scene 3.9 reframes life. Turn work into worship by making it sacrifice. Don't work for ego, for greed, for vanity. Offer it to the greater good. Action done in this spirit frees, not binds. 3.10. The Cosmic Order of Sacrifice. Scene. Krishna unveils a cosmic vision. In the beginning, the Creator made mankind along with sacrifice and said, by this you shall prosper. Let this be the milker of your desires. Then, for Arjuna, this opens his eyes. Creation itself was woven with yajna, reciprocity, offering, interdependence. The sun shines, rivers flow, earth bears crops, humans act, each serving the whole. Sacrifice is not ritual alone, it is the law of harmony. Arjuna's war, when fought for dharma, is part of this cosmic yajna. To abandon action is to break this chain. To act in sacrifice is to flow with creation itself. Now, look at our lives today. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the knowledge we receive, all are gifts of sacrifice. Farmers, teachers, ancestors, even unseen forces contribute. Yet when we act selfishly, we hoard, we exploit, we break harmony. Global crises, climate change, inequality, unrest are all results of ignoring yajna. Krishna's truth thunders through centuries, live as part of the great offering, not as a thief of creation. Focus. Scene 3.10 calls us higher. Sacrifice is the heartbeat of the universe. Live in harmony by making your actions offerings. When you align with this cosmic order, peace and prosperity follow naturally. Summary. The myth of escape. Scenes 3.1.3.10. Scene. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is not only outside but inside Arjuna's heart. His mind still struggles with contradiction. He pleads for clarity, and Krishna answers with piercing truth. Inaction is not freedom. Renunciation without detachment is hypocrisy. Escape is not peace, but cowardice. The battlefield is not just a clash of armies. It is the choice between running away and living fully with purpose. Arjuna stands trembling at this crossroads, and Krishna begins to dismantle every illusion he holds. Then, across these opening verses of chapter 3, Krishna dismantles every excuse Arjuna raises. Arjuna asks, why fight if knowledge is higher than action? Krishna responds that both paths can lead to truth, but Arjuna's dharma is action. The path of knowledge is real, but it is not for the battlefield. Action, aligned with dharma, is Arjuna's way forward. Krishna warns that no one can avoid action. Nature itself compels it. Even the ascetic who renounces the world still acts, through breathing, eating, thinking, existing. To imagine that one can sit still and escape the law of action is a delusion. He unmasks hypocrisy. Those who renounce outwardly but cling inwardly are self-deceived. They may abandon duty in appearance, but inside they remain bound by desire. True renunciation is not about hiding from the world, it is about detachment while acting within it. Krishna then uplifts karma yoga as the higher path for Arjuna. The teaching is clear: act fully, but without attachment to results. Perform duty, but see it as offering, not as burden. When action is aligned with the cosmic order, it ceases to bind. Duty becomes sacrifice, sacrifice becomes harmony, and harmony becomes liberation. This is not theory for Arjuna, it is survival. If he flees the battlefield, he betrays dharma, dishonors ancestors, and abandons generations. Escape would not be freedom, it would be collapse. Krishna's wisdom is sharp. Escape is illusion. Engagement, done with clarity and detachment, is the doorway to freedom. Now, these verses are alive today. We too fantasize about escape. We dream of quitting our jobs, leaving relationships, or walking away from responsibilities. We convince ourselves that peace lies outside duty, but restlessness follows us. Inaction breeds guilt, laziness, and decay. Avoidance never brings peace, it multiplies anxiety. Krishna's voice cuts through the noise of our modern lives. You cannot not act. Even scrolling on a phone is action. Even silence has influence. To be alive is to act. The real choice is not to act or not act. The real choice is whether we act unconsciously or consciously. If we act for ego, we are bound. If we act as offering, we are free. Krishna also reframes sacrifice. It is not an old ritual of fire altars alone. It is the rhythm of life itself. Parents sacrifice for children. Farmers sacrifice for cities. Rivers sacrifice for the land. Life survives through a cycle of offerings. Peace is found when we see our duties not as chains, but as part of this cosmic offering. Imagine if every act, cooking, coding, teaching, leading, was done as sacred service. Life would no longer feel like a burden. It would feel like worship. Focus. The focus of these verses is razor sharp. Inaction is a myth. Action is inevitable. The choice is not whether to act or not, but whether to act in bondage or in freedom. Krishna asks us to examine ourselves. Where in life are you trying to escape? Where are you clinging outwardly while pretending to be detached inwardly? Where can you transform duty into sacrifice? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the mirror Krishna holds before Arjuna and before us. Krishna invites us to live fully, not flee, to turn every act into an offering, to realize that peace is not outside action, but within the spirit of action. So the next time you feel tempted to run from responsibility, remember his words. Even survival is action. To breathe is to act. To think is to act. To live is to act. The only freedom lies in choosing how you act. Choose consciously, offer nobly, act freely. That is karma yoga, the path that turns life itself into worship.